Hello and welcome to the AutoX show. Now don't go anywhere because we've got an action-packed half an hour coming up for you today. Everything from BMW bikes in the dirt to a Ferrari in the UAE. We also sit down with 2019 Dakar Rally finisher Aravind KP. But first, let's see how a trio of BMW adventure bikes handles some harsh North Indian terrain.
ADV motorbikes have always been a hybrid, blending dirt bikes and road bikes. And well, BMW Motorrad has been the king of this segment ever since they created the first adventure bike. And today, they still sell the most number of ADV motorcycles.
Yes, that's true. In fact, it was as recent as 1980 when BMW created the ADV motorcycle segment when they launched the R80 GS. Now the GS, roughly translated from German, stands for terrain and street. And today, we have two of the latest GS models available in India, the F750 GS and the F850 GS.
So let's start with the 750 GS. Now this is a beautiful motorcycle, and as you can expect, BMW has some of the best quality motorbikes out there. Now, GS initially used to stand for terrain and street, but today that nomenclature now stands for terrain and sport. Now sport because these bikes are very sporty. We've ridden the bikes from Delhi to Dehradun on all kinds of roads, and I have to say this bike is really beautiful to ride, very easy in the city, very calm and composed on the highway, and it's got great amount of character when you're riding it, no matter what kind of road you're on. Now let's start with the build quality. As you can see, the bike is built very well. It's a very tough motorbike and it can take a pretty good beating as well. Some of the roads we rode on were really actually off-roading when we rode to Dehradun, and it was pretty intense, but the bike took it very well. The riding position is actually very nice as well. It's upright. The foot pegs are placed quite nicely, so you have a lot of leg room. The handlebars are fairly up as well, so there's no weight in your wrists. Overall, riding posture is great for all kinds of touring, which is what this bike is made for. So coming to the engine, this is an 853cc unit. It's a twin cylinder, and it's a very smooth, refined, well-built unit, considering the fact that this engine is built in China. It's got about 77 brake horsepower and 83 Newton-meters of torque. Very smooth, very linear delivery of the power and torque. The throttle response is very nice. It also has 4 different riding modes. It's got rain, road, enduro and dynamic, and obviously that adjusts the throttle response, the suspension, and you can adjust the traction control and anything else you wanted from the ECU you have here, the system. Controlling everything is fairly simple. You've got all these nice knobs here and buttons that you can adjust everything very nicely and comfortably. So yeah, it's a great motorcycle to ride. The suspension is very nice. Again, you can adjust it to what kind of road you're riding on, but on tarmac, it is beautiful. The bike handles really, really well. In fact, at our anniversary edition, we had India's top bike racer, Sarat Kumar, and he rode this bike at the BIC, and he said it was phenomenal, that it was almost 70% track ready. And I have to agree with him, because riding the bikes on the twisty sections here in the hills, it was phenomenal. You know, carving corners and turning the bike from one side to the next. It's very well balanced, very calm and composed. The front end feels nice. It's got a good steering damping as well. It's a very fun motorbike, and it can do almost anything. Now coming to the off-road bit, this 750 is not really a proper off-roader. It is a soft off-roader. It's not really made or built to take on some very serious terrain, but if you want to go on some dirt trails or some nice rocky paths, no problem at all there. It is very comfortable. Again, the suspension adjusts to what you're riding on, and dynamic is what I prefer to keep it in because it adjusts automatically depending on your terrain. So it's a good bike, not a serious off-roader. Very nice though, very comfortable on any surface. If you do want to go to another level when you're off-roading, you obviously have the 850.
So yeah, Jared is absolutely correct. The 750 doesn't quite cut as an off-roader. And if you want to go off-road, this is the bike that you want. So basically the F50 GS and F750 GS, they share the same engine. The engine produces more power and more torque. Now the engine has the same characteristic. It's very linear, you have a lot of low-end power, and it's linear throughout. Now other than that, the powerful bit, again, if you notice, this bike has spoke wheels that are for off-roading. Then it also has Michelin tires, which are off-road oriented. I mean, they're not proper off-road tires. They can be used for trails and all. But the tire size, again, it's 21 inch at the front. Then let's come to the suspension. It has inverted forks, and the suspension has more travel. So when you're going off-roading, when you're riding on dirt, when you're riding on rocky plains, you need that travel, and this is where this bike excels. On top of that, it's not that this bike feels wallowy or this bike doesn't handle as well as the 750. It has all the great bits of the 750, but it can also do off-roading. And as for the handling, like Jared said, this bike is also 70% track ready. It has all those ingredients. But this was faster than the 750 at the track, and Sarat said he found this bike to be a more complete package.
Apart from more travel in the suspension, cross-spoked wheels and an inverted front fork, the 850GS also gets an additional Enduro Pro mode, which disables ABS on the rear wheel and reduces traction control to allow more slip on loose surfaces. Now the only catch here is that all of these electronic aids are an optional extra, and that means you have to shell out extra cash if you want these on board.
So yes, the creators of the adventure bike segment are still making some of the best adventure bikes out there. Shivank, in this segment, the main competitors obviously are the Tiger 800, the Kawasaki versus 650, the V-Strom 650 is there as well. But I mean, honestly, in that entire segment, which bike would you prefer to buy?
See, honestly, I like the BMWs because they do it sort of all. I think the closest competition would be the Tiger 800, right? That's the bike that is closely matched with this bike. The V-Strom and the Kawasaki Versus, also they are also in the middleweight segment, but they're not as premium. They don't have these many electronic aids, right? So I think the main competition would be Tiger 800, and but still, I think I'd go for the BM.
Yeah, but these are obviously very expensive bikes, though. Are they really worth that much money?
See, that's a good question because the Tiger also has the same sort of pricing, right? It's cheaper by probably 60,000-70,000 bucks.
Okay, then it's a 50, of course, because this bike over here is only about $1 lakh less expensive than that one, and you get a lot more equipment obviously with that, and it can do a lot more as well. So I would say the best competition, or the closest competition that this bike actually has, is its own BMW 850.
Yeah. Because you walk into that showroom and you see this bike, and then you see this bike. This, of course, looks more like a GS bike.
That looks much better, for sure.
It looks much better, right? And it has more equipment. You get even off-road mode. It has that Enduro Pro, so you can select between all the power modes. So I think overall, this is the better package of the two.
So of course now there is a much cheaper GS model that's available in the country, and it's also made in India. The TVS plant, I believe, and that is the G310 GS. What do you think about that bike? Do we have it here?
I think we have, so...
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
Well, the GS310 is a very interesting product, I have to say. Obviously, it shares a lot of the stuff with the TVS Apache, which we actually like as a motorbike. It's got the same engine, same power figures and everything. But now that I've ridden this bike, and I've ridden it for a while actually, I have to say I'm really not that much impressed, Shivank. For a GS bike especially, starting with the design, yes, the design is the only thing it's got going for it right now. It looks big, it looks nice, the quality is fantastic, but it just isn't in the same category as an actual GS motorcycle. Really, riding in the city, the engine is supremely underpowered. The throttle response is very lazy. The engine lacks any kind of feel. There's so much vibration. You can feel it all over the bike. And I just don't know how anyone could pay 4 lakh or even more than that for a bike like this. Obviously, the BMW brand goes a long way, so owning a bike that has a BMW badge in it stands for something. But what do you think? How was the bike off-road? Did you enjoy it?
So even off-road, I mean, it's nothing great. See, it has the GS badging, and it looks like a proper GS, like you said. But the problem is the handlebars. See, they're wide and they're low. Yeah, so when you want to like stand up on the pegs, so it's sort of a weird position because you're like down. Yeah. You want the handlebars to be up there. So that's not there, so that's uncomfortable. Yeah. Plus the front end, I think it's too soft and too woolly because I mean, I don't like the front end because it doesn't inspire confidence, right? Yeah. So for me, I'd like to ride it on the road only.
In the city, I believe it was actually very nice. If you're just riding in the city as a daily commuter on Indian roads and Indian cities where the roads are not the best, like normal rough roads, then it's not bad. It's not bad. It doesn't. If you don't want that exhilarating power, if you don't want that extreme, amazing handling, agile handling, if you don't want to go really off-road, then this bike is great. If you just want to be seen on a small BMW GS, it's great. But otherwise, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's too expensive.
It's too expensive, yes, definitely.
Yeah. It looks like a GS, but it's not a GS.
Yeah. But overall, the GS bikes are fantastic. We had a great time riding them all the way here to Dehradun. Fantastic motorbikes. So if you guys are interested in them, please go ahead and take a test ride and let us know. Get back to us what you guys think about them. BMW Motorrad has also just launched the bigger and fully loaded 1250 GS motorcycles. Prices for the 1250 start at Rs 16.85 lakh and go up to 21.95 for the Adventure Pro version. That seems like a pretty big price jump, but in all honesty, we feel the 850 already has everything you pretty much need for a much lower price. Nonetheless, the legacy of the GS family will continue to inspire riders to go on epic adventures.
Now don't go anywhere because we've got a lot of action coming up right after this break. Now the Ferrari Portofino is the most attainable Ferrari that you can buy today. If you can say attainable and Ferrari in the same breath, that is. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's still a proper supercar, as Ishan recently found out.
Car, the California, and I quite like the curves. It's a very assertive Ferrari design language, and especially with the top down, I think it looks great. So what we're going to do today in hot and sunny Dubai is get into the Portofino, drive it around and get a feel of what an entry-level Ferrari feels like.
It might be the entry-level Ferrari to replace the California, but the Portofino is no slow coach, offering 600 bhp and 760 Nm from its 3.8-litre V8. Let's find out how those Italian horses perform on the wide, flowing roads of Dubai. Like I said, the Portofino is the second generation of what would be an entry-level Ferrari. The earlier car was called the California, and even though it was very successful, in fact, Ferrari claims that over 70% of California customers were brand new Ferrari buyers. So obviously it's appealing to a new audience, which is great for the brand. The Portofino, I think, design-wise is much better. And you know, recent Ferraris and whatever I've driven and whatever you read about are fantastic when it comes to performance. And the Portofino is no less. It might be an entry level, it might be the most affordable Ferrari you can buy, but it comes with a twin turbo 3.8 litre, 600 horsepower, 156 bhp per litre. It's a really powerful engine, and I think what surprises me the most is that despite there being turbochargers, there's no lag. You depress the throttle and the car flies. I mean, it's phenomenal what Ferrari engineers have done, and what's also phenomenal is the 7-speed dual clutch transmission on this car. In sport mode, the shifts in both regular and sport mode are phenomenally crisp, they're fast, it responds without any delay. And when you match that kind of transmission shift times with a rather powerful and immediate power delivery, it's a phenomenally fast car to drive. We were on the highways of Dubai heading towards the Hatta Dam and touching, I won't say how much, but highly illegal figures is just a joke. But what the Portofino retains is that it's a 2+2, but as you can see, only very small children can fit behind me. So the practicality of owning a Ferrari, it's very comfortable to drive. When you're not pushing at 9/10 or 10/10, it's quiet. It's got pretty decent ride. Even on slightly broken roads that we encountered, it drives well. And especially when you're pushing on, it's a complete beast. What is also very impressive is the quality and the fit and finish of the interiors, the design. The touchscreen works very well. The AC is phenomenal. It's currently 43 degrees Celsius and it's working like a charm. So I think what Ferrari is doing with these cars, especially with cars like the Portofino, is that they're bringing regular practicality to show you that you can have an Italian supercar and you can drive it every day. It can be comfortable, it can be fast when you need it to be, it can be quiet and a long distance cruiser when you don't want it to be. And with the Portofino, despite it being the most affordable Ferrari, they do offer you one more very special choice. You can drive with the top down when the weather permits you to. It's too hot in Dubai to do so. But yeah, if it's a nice evening, if the sun's down, if the clouds are out, there's a nice breeze blowing, the Portofino with its great exhaust note, with its drivability, with its quality, with its usability, makes for a very serious, compelling reason to buy a Ferrari. With some formidable engineering behind it, the Portofino offers fantastic performance and everyday usability. And with typical Ferrari looks and a lovely interior, the entry-level Ferrari is sure to attract many more customers.
The Dakar Rally is widely considered as the toughest motorsport event on the planet. The 2019 edition took place exclusively in Peru in South America, and the competitors covered over 5,000 kilometers over the course of 10 days. Now the winner in the cars category was Nasser Al-Attiyah in his Toyota Hilux, while Toby Price took the win in the bikes category on his factory KTM. The only Indian to finish the 2019 Dakar was Aravind KP on his Sherco TVS. His first two attempts were marred with heartbreak and injury. So Jared sits down with him to find out what it was finally like to cross the finish line in the toughest motorsport event on the planet.
Hello everybody, today we have a very special guest with us, Aravind KP. He just completed the Dakar Rally. He's done it before twice, this was his third time, and he's finally done it. Hello Aravind, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Can you just go over how excited you were after you finished the race and what your mental state was coming to the end of the race, knowing we were about to complete it?
Yes. Going into it, I was not, we had a lot of setbacks. So we went in a positive note. We've been working hard for the past 2 years, and we were that close last year, but we couldn't get it done. But this year was good, and we took every day as it came, and made the best of what we could do every day, and got to the finish line. And I think the last stage was the longest one for me, and getting it done was a sign of relief, and I felt a lot lighter than before, and I'm really overjoyed. It's a beginning for new things, and I think a benchmark for me to work hard and get better.
That's fantastic. So can you just go through us how the bike performed, how it was different than last year? Did your riding style change at all with the terrain that you were encountering there?
The bike this year was a lot different from the last year. We had a few different parts on the bike, like the gearbox. We have a shorter ratio gearbox, which is shorter in the lower gears, and as we go to the higher gears, it has a little more gap. But the 5th and 6th was shorter because in the sand it kind of loses power when you shift up. So other than that, the bike had a bigger tank, with extra 2 liters. Since we had to do a lot more dunes, it consumes a lot more fuel when you do the dunes. So we had a bigger tank. We had a lighter roadbook reader machine, which helps reducing the overall weight of the bike, which is actually, even in few grams, is really good for us on the stage. Other than that, the bike had, I think, a little more power on the engine as well, because the bike needs really a lot more torque when you have to climb steep dunes. And riding, I should say, we trained a lot in Morocco this year. Just before going to Dakar, we went to Morocco and spent some time in Morocco. So we got used to how we have to ride on the sand and the dunes.
So what was the toughest thing for you? What was the highlight of the entire?
The toughest thing about Dakar this year was the poor visibility in the mornings and the fresh areas. It's really sketchy, and there's a lot of hidden stones and square edges in the track. So it kind of really surprises you because you're doing really good speed, and when you catch a square edge, it kind of unbalances you. So you can't really anticipate what's gonna come up. Yeah. So you have to kind of hold yourself back and ride. which is tiring in a way because you don't really have a rhythm, and you're doing things you're not comfortable doing, so it kind of tires you. But other than that, I think the stones and the visibility thing was the issue. Other than that, the sand dunes is where I really enjoy because I love riding the dunes, and I think I'm really fast on the dunes. So yeah, the fesh and the visibility was the most tricky ones.
So we all know that you're friends with CS Santosh, but how is it competing with him and Hero, knowing that there are other Indians there as well? Does that motivate you to push yourself to become the best Indian rider there, or?
Definitely, it's it's a point where it motivates you that you have a friend also. It's always better to have two than just one. So we push each other and we motivate each other. We kind of go to each other for any doubts that we have, and kind of keep ourselves cool, and help each other in any way possible. We have a very good relationship, and competing is a natural thing. It's an instinctive behavior that we all racers have. So other than that, I think it's all good.
Great. So you're now a hero in India. So can you give us or tell some young people or give advice to some young aspiring riders if they want to get to your level and compete in the Dakar someday?
Definitely, now in India we have a lot more platforms where they can start training or start exploring into off-road racing. Our friend CS Santosh has his own dirt park in Bangalore, and he does a lot of training and he does a lot of programs for all these aspiring riders. They can get into they can get into these places, and there are a lot more tracks and controlled atmospheres where all these youngsters can go and see their talent. And TVS Racing has been supporting a lot of youngsters and doing a lot of programs like single make in road racing and single makes in dirt tracks and all that, and promoting a lot more talents to come and perform in national and international levels as well. So I think all the youngsters should probably focus on getting into the right atmosphere and not fool around on the roads and not kill themselves, and make good of their potential, and make India proud.
Great. Well, you've certainly made India proud. So thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to meet you, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, that's all the time we have for you today. Remember to follow us on social media for your daily dose of all things automotive. And connect with us via the autoX show hashtag to let us know what you thought of the show today. Also, it's chaos out there, so always buckle up and wear your helmets. We'll see you again next week on the autoX show.